Comic-Con 2K14. Was it a disappointment? Marvel news, DC news, no news with Star Wars? Did Legendary actually win Comic-Con? We'll discuss this in this episode of Film Smart. First topic today, we'll be discussing the Guardians 2 confirmed. What's your thoughts on that, Alek?
It obviously means that they're doing it this early because it comes out, I think, May or July of 2017. It obviously means that this one's tracking good, so that's good. And it has good ratings, so yeah, it's good news.
I think, it means that they have a lot of confidence in the property, something that nobody thought because nobody knew who the Guardians were.
Yeah,
and I think
I didn't know them at all.
Marvel's really starting to break that barrier where people always say, no, they'd never make a Miss Marvel movie because nobody knows who that is. That doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy, I guarantee you it'll be a hit.
Oh yeah,
probably not going to make $1 billion, but
it won't.
It's going to
I'm sure
be pretty
the movie
successful.
will make a good 500. I think. I think it'll make 500.
So I think you can go.
Their fan base is huge. I mean, Marvel and DC, and with Guardians, it's it might bring a whole new craze to America. It's a possibility. The raccoon
to the world.
Yeah, I mean, kids see raccoons every day. Maybe they want wow, maybe he has a rocket. Maybe this kid is everyone will be able to relate.
Yeah, his name's Rocket, but maybe he has some guns. Give the raccoon some guns. What's our next?
All right. Next, we'll be moving on to the Ant-Man casting characters. They were announced, and what are your thoughts on that, Josh?
I think I really like the Evangeline Lilly casting as Hope Van Dyne. I guess
Janet Van Dyne.
Yeah, she's really taking the place of Janet because they can't really use Janet because they're using Scott Lang and all that, and it wouldn't make sense because she'd be old. Yeah. But I think I really like the whole character. The only time I've ever had exposure to her was in Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and I thought she was really cool. And
she's obviously going to become Wasp eventually.
Mm-hmm. And she was in the original draft of the Avengers. Maybe not Hope Van Dyne, but Wasp was in general. So I think that's really cool that they're at least they're returning to the character.
Evangeline's very good, and I know you like Lost, and she's also good in The Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug.
Yeah, she was my favorite part.
And Michael Douglas. I mean, you can't go wrong with Michael Douglas. But we already knew he was in there. Corey Stoll is what I'm interested, or Stoll. I really like him from House of Cards. He is, he's going to play the villain Darren Cross, who, interestingly enough, is going to be Yellow Jacket, and that's usually Ant-Man. Or Hank Pym will become Yellow Jacket usually, but they're making the villain Yellow Jacket and Darren Cross. And Cross is kind of a Stark rival as far as company-wise. Same thing with Hammer. They're just kind of all...
Seems like Tony Stark really has a lot of enemies.
And at Comic-Con, there's a picture of Michael Douglas with the old Ant-Man helmet from when he's going to be Ant-Man, because I'm assuming they're going to show flashbacks of the 60s and 70s when he was Ant-Man. So... I'm really glad that they kind of changed the way
and
it is.
Michael Douglas is supposed to mentor Scott Lang into becoming Ant-Man and all that. So
I think that's really cool. It's exciting. Last Marvel topic?
The last Marvel topic, the big one, the one everyone's waiting for, Avengers 2 trailer released. And, it's huge. What's your ideas on that, Alek?
I'm going to actually read a description of it for those who hadn't seen it. It's basically, there's a party scene, and they're all trying to pick up Thor's hammer. Tony says, if I can pick it up, can I be the ruler of Asgard? Yes. Thor says yes. Everybody tries it. He can't do it. He can't even do it with his Iron Man gauntlet. Hulk can't do it. Hawkeye can't do it. Rhodey can't do it. Then Captain America actually budges it because I think Captain America, with his integrity and everything, is just... He's a really good person.
Yeah, that was something that they explained to me was how it wasn't about the strength; it was about the integrity to pick up Thor's hammer.
And then everybody's really exerting themselves, and I guess Thor's like, none of you are worthy. And then all of a sudden, this music comes on, this really creepy horror-like music, and this zombie-looking robot comes in and says, "None of you are worthy." And he says there's he's brutally broken. He says, "How could you be worthy? You're all killers. You want to protect the world, but you don't want to change it. There's only one path to peace, your extinction." And speaking about not just the Avengers, but humans in general. And then a bunch of other robots fly in. And then Ultron's continues with voiceover, and these are really cool lines. He's like, "I had a vision of the whole world screaming for mercy, people running away, escaping, everyone tangled in strings. Banner all sickly looking. There's epic war scenes, all these fight scenes. Thor smashing a tank. Tony Stark says it's the end. Who knows what that means? The end of the path I started us on. Nothing lasts forever. Hulk is screaming. He's also later on. He's in his Hulkbuster suit fighting Iron Man, or an Iron Man. Iron Man's in his Hulkbuster suit fighting the Hulk, and he punches him through it. And there's Widow and the Hulk touching hands, so obviously they're together, like people were thinking. And then finally, you see the 8-foot Ultron. There are no strings on me, he says. And then after that, you see Cap's shield broken, Tony looking down, the camera pulls back, and you literally see every member of the team laying on the ground in tatters. They look dead. That sounds really interesting. It sounds a lot darker than the first movie, which I think you want to progress. So yeah, I like that route. It sounds good. It sounds like it's going to have comedy, obviously, but it sounds a little darker. I think because Ultron's a darker character than Loki. He's really bent on killing. That's like his favorite pastime. So, what do you think about this, Josh?
That was a very nice description, summary, and everything. I think I'm glad that they're going this darker route because I can get a little bit worn out of, because a lot of the things people get annoyed by DC doing just always dark and gritty and it's always raining or something in the movie, and Marvel does a lot of comedy, and I think this movie, it'll still be funny, but I like the overall tone that they're setting for this with Ultron. He's evil, even though he's a robot. He has all that evil in him. And
last superhero movie that wasn't dark in the slightest was a joke, Spider-Man 2. Yeah, we'll move on from that.
Don't even bring that up. Don't bring that up. That is worst garbage.
Wow, that kind of
but the thing I really want to discuss aside from this is all exciting, but we were expecting. I think some people were expecting some dates because there's like 9 open dates for Marvel in the next until 2018, I think, and we only know about Guardians 2. Obviously, we know Doctor Strange is one of those dates. It's already been confirmed. Joaquin Phoenix is pretty much, people are saying he's going to play Doctor Strange. We'll see what becomes of that. But yeah, we were hoping for a Miss Marvel or a Black Panther news story or an Iron Man 4. Robert Downey Jr. has been hinting that he's going to play Iron Man again in Iron Man 4. So we'll see what becomes of that. What's our next topic?
Well, expanding on the Avengers thing, the last set of Marvel news is just a simple Avengers 3, rumored to come out in 2018. Everyone's looking forward to see that. Again,
3 years after the second one.
Yeah, and will Tony Stark still be playing Iron Man? Is it going to happen?
In Avengers 3, he will, yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's just, he signed on until Avengers 3, so he's going to be playing Iron Man until 2018.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He's hinted that he's going to do Iron Man 4 and a couple more. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be, interesting to see how they do the age progression of him and how they're. I mean, if he's going to age, every other character is going to have to age too.
Yeah.
So,
he'll be 50 next year.
Yeah, and Iron Man 4 comes out. That's what.
That probably wouldn't be till 2020.
Yeah, 2020, 2021. That's a good, 6 to 10 years.
Yeah. So what's our next topic?
We're next going to be moving on to the DC news side. It's the leaking of the Batman versus Superman footage. Not supposed to be leaked, but it's out there. So
we saw it.
Yeah, I mean,
we're not gonna
we'll admit it.
We found it.
We saw it. It was very interesting.
I just loved Batman in his Dark Knight Returns suit, ready to kick some butt, and Superman really looking angry with his his heat vision lighting up. And the new bat signal, I like it. It's much fatter.
It's bulky. It's like
kind of like Batman.
Yeah, I mean,
it's even without his Dark Knight Returns suit on, with just his regular one, which is still kind of Dark Knight Returns, still bulky. He's much bulkier than Christian Bale. Like it was between the two of them, Ben Affleck.
Yeah,
without even seeing the movie.
He's a pretty big guy.
And Superman looked great. What do you think?
I think, I like the visuals in the whole little teaser or whatever. It felt very Watchmen. How Zack Snyder made Watchmen and had a lot. It just reminded me of that style of filmmaking, which, Zack Snyder likes to rip things right from the comics. So it felt very Frank Miller-ish too. Like, I mean, really Frank Miller-y. But that can be good and bad. But I think that it's so good that we see that tone. He's staying so true to the comics that so many people like, and they complain when something is that much different, as if it's the end of the world. But I think it was a really cool teaser for a movie called Batman versus Superman. I know people were acting like it was a bad teaser because Superman was angry. They said, "Oh, just because he killed in the last movie, he should never be mad again."
That's not reasonable.
That makes no sense. And I think the the whole suit. I like his suit too. It didn't look too rip-off-ish. I think they distinguished it enough from Iron Man, but it still does draw a comparison to it and everything. But overall, it was a great teaser.
It's similar. I mean, I hadn't seen the teaser before. They had, and upon watching it the first time, I was like, okay, Iron Man. But then you see everything else. You see the cartoons, you see everything, and you realize it's Batman. It's still Batman. And in my opinion, they say you put Iron Man and Batman in the same suit and they fight, Batman's going to beat the crap out of him. It's not even questionable in my opinion.
He actually has fighting skills.
Yeah,
I would love to see
What's our last topic for DC?
Our last topic for DC is the Wonder Woman costume. Everyone's been waiting. I mean, come on.
We finally get to see her.
Yeah, no pants, but
yeah.
I
liked
that's
it.
the era.
I'm hoping because people were saying she could change. Hopefully she can change her suit because obviously from Batman we can see that he has 2 suits already without the movie even coming out. Superman has already changed his costume slightly since Man of Steel. So Wonder Woman, I'm sure, is going to modernize her suit because she looks like a gladiator kind of.
Yeah,
I mean, if you put her in the movie Gladiator,
if you put her in the movie 300, I mean, she's a woman, but she's
Yeah. So I mean, and they had women warriors in Gladiator, so I mean, it would have made sense. But yeah, I think they're going to modernize her suit, maybe give her some longer pants. I'm hoping,
or just
because
anything there, in general, like someone. My first comment was literally someone could take something and go straight through her. Now, obviously, she's not human, and that's not plausible. But just assuming it was,
you're saying she looks kind of vulnerable.
Yeah, she looks extremely vulnerable.
But she can handle her own. But I think they're going to modernize her suit a little bit, give her some more. I just don't want her to be eye candy. Only that. I want her to actually be a warrior and actually have some stuff. What do you think, Josh?
I think it was a really good photo that they released. I think the whole thing, it looked very ripped from the comics. There's a lot of comic book photos of her that look just like that, and I think people were waiting to see Gal Gadot look just like comic book Wonder Woman. People are still complaining that she's too skinny, but I think she looks fine in that suit. Yeah, and Zack Snyder, in that interview he did, I think it was in USA Today, he even said she's still working out. Yeah. So, I mean, we shouldn't get so up in arms.
Yeah, we're all saying we want a picture of her, but then we get mad when she's too skinny.
Don't be a critic of, your own one.
Yeah. So, we should be glad. What's our last topic real quick?
Our last topic, just a brief, breeze over what we're going to be discussing, is Legendary Studios with Skull Island. It's the King Kong origin, if you didn't know that.
Which is interesting. And Legendary, who knows, maybe a Godzilla King Kong versus movie.
Yeah.
We already know
and
that
Pacific Rim, they own that too.
Is it Universal that is doing a monster movie? Or not a monster movie, but they're doing a monster cinematic universe with mummies, Frankenstein, vampires, all that, werewolves. They're all going to be like an Avengers style cinematic universe, which I think is really cool. A way to compete
and it's
without
really
using superheroes.
I mean, personally, with this whole King Kong news, I didn't grow up in the era of when they released it, but when I was younger, I saw one of the newer movies at the time, and it caught my attention. But I always did wonder, where did this come from? This is a humongous ape. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. Yeah. And it's going to be really interesting to see the origin of it. See, the story that builds up to this humongous ape hanging on buildings. Yeah. And
throw him in the next Dawn of the Planet of the Apes movie.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Or the next Planet of the Apes movie.
The humans would be gone.
Yeah.
They could.
But is that about it?
Yeah.
As always, like, subscribe, watch some of our other videos, look at our blog.
Watch our next video. Big news, next video, link in the description.
Yeah. So, as always, stay film smart.